As we come back into session following Republicans' nearly 2-month taxpayer paid vacation, House Democrats' top priority remains the same: lowering healthcare costs for the American people. For months, Republicans have wasted time by refusing to negotiate with Democrats on a deal that would extend the Affordable Care Act tax credits. These tax credits allow hardworking families to see their doctors when they get sick, get medication, or have life-saving surgeries. If Republicans let these credits expire, millions of Americans in red, blue, and purple districts will be forced to make incredibly difficult financial decisions or be priced out of healthcare altogether. An example, in my district, Amy in Redlands is a small business owner. She told me that her healthcare would jump from $650 per month to $2,000 per month. Amy said she doesn't know if she'd be able to afford her living expenses, let alone this increase. Unfortunately, this is not a unique example around the country. As the richest nation in the world, we cannot allow this to happen. For years, Republicans have been hell-bent on repealing the Affordable Care Act, but have no replacement plan. Donald Trump and Republicans have already created a massive healthcare crisis in this country with their big ugly law, the largest healthcare cut in the United States history. By failing to extend the Affordable Care Act tax credits, Republicans will only exacerbate this. The time to act is now. We should get going to that. Vice Chair Ted Lieu.
Thank you, Chairman Aguilar. So Republicans have continued to attack healthcare. They passed a law and enacted policies to make healthcare more expensive. They made deep cuts to Medicaid. There's a $500 billion cut slated for Medicare, and the Affordable Care Act is going to dramatically increase because of Republicans' attacks on healthcare. Yesterday, a Gallup poll came out showing that this is now weighing on American people's minds in a very big way. Nearly half of the American people, 47%, believe they cannot afford healthcare next year. And then Gallup asked a second question about drug prices. And 1 in 5 Americans say they or one of their family members can no longer afford prescription drugs. That is the highest that survey has ever recorded since they asked that question. And so we're asking Donald Trump Republicans to get serious and work with Democrats on bringing down healthcare costs instead of increasing healthcare costs. And nothing Republicans are doing this week is going to help reduce the cost of healthcare. We also know that other costs are rising. And so they put out a statistic about consumer price index changes to groceries from January to September of this year. It shows that coffee increased 15.3%, ground beef increased 14.2%, and bananas increased 7.9%. So Trump's tariffs and the rubber stamp Republican House members are increasing costs at grocery stores as well. We recently saw that the Trump administration is going to lower tariffs on some grocery items. That is finally an acknowledgement that Donald Trump has been lying to American people all along. Tariffs, in fact, are not paid by foreign countries. They're paid by Americans. That's why grocery prices have gone up. And that's why they're going to continue to go up, because most tariffs are still on a lot of grocery items and a lot of products. We're asking Donald Trump to stop these tax increases on Americans and deal with affordability, which is on the top of Americans' minds.
Questions? Michael.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I know as chairman, you really focus on keeping, family business in-house. You often talk about having family conversations, in caucus meetings. But yesterday on the House floor, we saw, some really intense conversations between, members of the caucus lobbying, their frustration at Congresswoman Marie Gluckman-Perez for the Garcia disapproval resolution. I'm curious, with this vote coming up, is this an episode that House Democrats can naturally move on from and get back to talking about affordability and healthcare and all of the things that you want to talk about? Or will there be some residue that you all will need to work behind the scenes to address before going forward?
Well, I always respect that members have different viewpoints on issues. That's the difference between the Democratic caucus and the Republican conference. We're a coalition. We're a community. We're not a cult. We all just don't have one view if one person says we have a view. All that said, we disagree with the resolution that's being offered, and we should be talking about issues that affect the American people, including the healthcare crisis and the affordability crisis that we're in. All that said, this did not come up in caucus. This was not raised by any member in caucus. So we are all on the same page. We know what is in front of us. We also know the ridiculousness of the Republican calendar. They called us back, big show of having 5 days in session this week. We're voting on rehashed items from years past. This is the ghost of Christmas past coming back. CRAs and resolutions that have no basis in helping the American people. That should be our guiding point. That should be the focus of what we are doing here. And I don't think that's lost on the Democratic caucus. We're united. We're focused. We also know that in 50 weeks we'll have a true test of where we are, and we need to keep our eye on that ball and make positive change for the American people. And that can only happen with true accountability and oversight that we will do when we were in the majority. Eric?
More on this idea of $2,000 rebate checks that they're talking about at the White House. Would you support that?
I think it's incredibly clear. We have supported rebate checks. We could talk about the child tax credit and making the child tax credit refundable, which is what we did when Democrats were in control. We aren't new to this. There are tried and true strategies that put money in people's pockets quickly, so families can use it. What they are talking now is strictly a diversionary tactic because and a reaction to the past election where they got crushed on affordability, and now they're trying to overcompensate. As the vice chair mentioned, these tariffs are a direct tax on the American people, and now they think the American people aren't paying attention enough to say, oh, well, you're going to give us a small rebate check while charging us thousands of dollars in increased costs. The American people are smarter than that. The American people see through that, and we will continue to talk about the affordability crisis that this president has perpetuated, not inherited. He has perpetuated this by adding costs, adding tariffs to the American people. That is real. That is not theoretical. He is placing these costs on the American people and then taking a small portion of the revenue that's raised and trying to give it to farmers to not be upset with him, or potentially, as you're talking about, giving it directly to the American people to hope that they thank him for it after fleecing them for the past 10 months. Eleanor?
What do you think of the question that the Friday evening functions is getting in Washington this week? And are Democrats at all concerned about having one cooperation discharge?
Look, we look forward to further cooperation with countries and appreciate hosting world leaders to the Capitol and to DC. There are concerns that have been raised in the past, and I don't think that we should, whitewash some of those concerns. So I appreciate that the Senate is having meetings potentially, and I know there are meetings in the House potentially tomorrow. This should serve as an opportunity to work with world leaders on issues that we agree with, while not ignoring issues and concerns that we have between our countries. But I hope that we can continue to have positive dialogue that includes not just the executive, but the first branch of government. Nick?
I want to ask about discharge petition. Some experience with that. What is it about this Congress that is making discharge petitions more successful?
It's a good question. I'm not gonna give you the secret sauce of how a discharge petition becomes successful, but I think that you have to have kind of a strength and resolve among those members advocating for it. Obviously, in a bipartisan nature, if you want to be successful, have a bipartisan group of members leading something. Who have a working relationship with each other, but also have the credibility to reach out to their colleagues to talk about delivering a solution. But I don't think it's lost on us that some of these discharge petitions moving forward are advocated by folks who just made significant healthcare cuts, and now they are trying to get right by their voters and their folks. I understand that. I understand there's different viewpoints, and some of these pieces of legislation have a lot in them. But we should be very clear with the American people that Republicans, lock, stock, and barrel, have voted for the largest cut to healthcare across the country. And so, sending a letter to the speaker, or putting out a press release, or leading on a discharge petition doesn't inoculate you from the votes that you've made to cut healthcare from people. You may be trying to solve one piece of this, but that doesn't gloss over your voting record, and it's our job to tell that truth to folks.
My view of why there's been so many discharge petitions and successful ones is because of failed Republican House leadership. A discharge petition is an end run around the speaker and around Republican leadership. And when Republican leadership is protecting pedophiles, you're going to have Democrats, Republicans going, that's insane. You cannot do that. And that's why this discharge petition was successful. And because Republican House leadership is out of step with the overwhelming majority of the American people, that's why you're seeing these discharge petitions being filed and why some of them are succeeding.
Thank you. I want to add the House, I know neither of you are on this committee, but the House Administration Committee is holding a hearing on the Stock Act. Do you think that act that was passed in 2012 has done enough to curb public sentiment about concerns about insider trading among Congress? And then in the Senate, Senator Hawley, along with Senator Ossoff and Peters, co-sponsored Pelosi Act. Do you think that would be something House Democrats would be willing to take up if we were to get to that?
We need more transparency. We need more accountability. We need more legislation specific to dealing with members who have been trading stocks. There are members who sit in committees. This is all public record, who have been sitting in committees and then trading stocks. Some of them campaigned on not wanting to do this, and then have gone and done this hundreds of times. There needs to be more legislation in this regard. House Democrats, I'm not aware of anything that House Republicans have put out that have indicated that they support a ban on stock trading. House Democrats did put that out. Before the August work period, we put out documents talking about an affirmative agenda, talking about the culture of corruption, talking about the affordability crisis and the healthcare crisis that we're in. And the single piece of legislation that was mentioned was addressing this issue. So this is something that is serious for our caucus, and it'll take serious legislation in order to do it. That doesn't mean that there's a monopoly on one issue or one idea or one piece of legislation that gets there. This is why we have hearings, and this is why, if we truly want a bipartisan effort, then it's on Republicans to work with us in order to solve this issue.
I support a ban on members of Congress trading individual stocks. I also think people need to look at the President of the United States. It is massive corruption going on in the White House. The Swiss basically gave him a personalized gold bar. The country of Qatar gave him a used jumbo jet. You've got his family making huge amounts of money off of crypto, and the president pardoned a criminal because that person was with a company that helps his family with crypto. The amount of corruption in the White House is insane, unconscionable levels. And in addition to the Stock Act, we need to look at putting some real serious ethics into the White House. And
I'd also offer the Supreme Court. This can't just be something that affects Congress. We have to look at the executive branch as well as an enforceable code of conduct for the Supreme Court as well. Cassie?
I want to ask, kind of piggybacking off the next question about discharge petitions. Obviously today we will have this vote on the Epstein files, and we're seeing them Republican leadership now saying that they don't have everything one way or another, saying that members can vote their conscience after Democrats have accused them of canceling votes and sending the House home so that this vote couldn't be taken earlier, not swearing in at a leader for Republic. So what do you make of this about face, and do you directly correlate it with the president's about face on that?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, all of them feel the same way. I mean, this is about them knowing that they're going to lose. They're going to lose this vote. They could not convince Marjorie Taylor Greene and Lauren Boebert from the Situation Room. They could not convince them to remove their signatures. So they are shifting strategies. Now they have to embrace it because they're going to lose this issue. And they weren't going to lose by a little. They were going to lose by a lot. And I think the president, clearly doesn't want to be viewed as a lame duck or on the losing side of an issue with the Republican conference. And Republicans are probably tired of having to defend the pedophilia that Jeffrey Epstein stood for. And so I think it's clear that their only reason why they're doing this is because they were losing, and so now they're going to try to project that they don't care or that they aren't pushing members. They pushed members. They sent us all home in September. Those are just the facts. They avoided this issue. They avoided this vote for so long. They can't suddenly turn the page and say, "Oh, we're fine with this. We were just kidding." And oh, by the way, let's make it about the policy. And if the president wanted to put the Epstein files out, he could do that tomorrow. He is choosing not to. He is also choosing to have his Department of Justice not answer a lawful subpoena by Democrats and Republicans who voted in government oversight and reform to send documents to that committee. So the president has made choices here. No public statements, no tweets or anything is going to hide the fact that he himself actively does not want these files out. And the American people are going to get to judge why that is. Likely because his name's already been listed over 1,000 times on the emails that have been released. So that's one of the reasons why he doesn't want this out.
Chairman Aguilar is absolutely right that the president doesn't want these files out. And one reason we know that is because the president can order these files to be released right now. It's very clear that the Department of Justice acts as Donald Trump's lapdog. He says jump, they say how high, and they've done everything of his bidding. He could just tell the Attorney General to release the files, and she would do it. So the fact that he hasn't done that shows that he is just playing a game. He doesn't really want these files to be released. And the other reason that the discharge petition succeeded and that Speaker Johnson and the president appear to have reversed is because Republicans got their asses kicked earlier this month in the elections. Democrats didn't just win in blue states like Virginia and California and New Jersey. Democrats won in every state in which there was an election: Georgia, Mississippi, Pennsylvania, Maine. And the Republicans have noticed. And now you see more Republicans standing up to Donald Trump, who is now a weight and anchor on the Republican Party. And you see Republicans showing more courage to stand up for the American people to finally do the right thing.
All of the documents should be released and nobody should have anything to hide. Democratic members of Congress, namely the President of the United States, everybody should embrace these documents being out there. We would encourage our members to take that position. It's interesting now that Republicans want to try to find a way to use this issue after spending months talking negatively about these files. But we're not new to the duplicity of Andy Harris.
Legislation on additional sanctions on Russia to be passed. Do you consider voting for it?
Look, we've supported strong sanctions on Russia in the past. We think that there is space and opportunity to continue to try to stop Russian aggression through economic means and sanctions. That continues to be a view that is widely held on our side. Republicans have had a tough time wrapping their head around this because the president has embraced this, and then he said, "No, stop. We're gonna," because he's wants to cozy up to Putin himself. So I think the Republicans are better equipped to ask why the whipsaw of yes and no on this issue. House Democrats would support and look over anything that moves the needle to offer support to Ukrainian people and to put real screws to what Russia is doing on the economic side. So that continues to be a view that is widely held. We'll see if Republicans advance something that has support.
The only way to end the Ukraine-Russia conflict is to stop Vladimir Putin. And you can do that by defeating his troops on the battlefield. You can do that by increasing pressure economically through sanctions. And the United States and Europe should be doing all of that. Because that should be obvious over the years, you're not going to get Putin to negotiating table unless he has stopped. And that's why we need to give Ukraine maximum support.
Thank you.